So let's take a look at the type 7 and the inner critic of the type 7 and the kind of messages that the type 7 deals with. So, call the type 7 the excitable variety seeking type, um, the joyous visionary, the enthusiast, a lot of different names that reflect a number of qualities. One is for the type 7, healthy type 7 is really in touch with a kind of natural optimism and joy. There's this sense that life is good and there's so many potentials for experience and learning. And when I'm healthy as a 7, my heart is open to this. I become quite the adventurer. I take adventures. I take on new territory. I become, you know, uh, motivated by my visionary ideas and act on them. And I do it in a way that's skillful and healthy and really in touch with my own, particular needs. So there's a kind of optimism, buoyancy, um, and also with healthy sevens, I think there's often a generosity of spirit. It's like, not only am I moved to take adventures that expand me, but I don't want to do it alone. I want to take people with me. I want to share the journey. A solo journey is not going to be as much fun as if I give away, on some level, what I'm getting to savor and connect with. So there's a sense of generosity, and I think the term hope givers is one that fits for the 7. It's like, really inspired to bringing hope and possibility to people who need it. And I think the Dalai Lama is certainly one who's done that. Just his amazing work with compassion, meditation, practice. I think Elton John, in his own way, has very well known for his philanthropy and for his heartfelt songs, and then Cameron Diaz has another kind of authentic journey that she's taken around her health and well-being. So um, that said, when I'm present and healthy, I'm in contact with joy and gratitude. There's a sense of, I've been given freedom to tap into, savor, and experience so many things that there's a sense of a gratitude that just, you know, really moves through my heart and soul. A sense of in this moment, I'm just actually grateful for this moment. Now, for the healthy 7, there is that a kind of spacious humility and gratitude that they have contact with. So we're talking about healthy 7. They have a mental center that is able to come into quiescence, that also, is imbued with visionary intelligence, heart that's open and generous, and has a kind of celebratory joy available to it. Again, this is the potentiality of the type 7, and a sense of gratitude, awareness for all the opportunities available. So when I'm healthy as a 7, I bring optimism in a lot of different ways. It's just part of my emotional magnetism. And so as a little one, I've got to protect my heart and survive childhood and deal with family, school, cultural messages. And, if I have a childhood that is relatively free of much trauma, then, I develop a personality pattern that's lighter, and I wear it more easily, and my essence is able to come forward more easily. Um, but when I lose contact with my essential qualities, my sense of just innate joy and gratitude and positivity, the fear arises of being, caught in suffering and deprived of the possibility for joy and happiness, a sense of emotional suffering arising that could really um, limit me forever, really. It's a sense of if I start to feel any kind of suffering, there's an emergency siren that goes off that says, get moving, buddy, because you're going to get, stuck in the mud for a long time. So the basic fear um, moves us towards the basic desire, which is a healthy desire to be happy, free, and satisfied, fulfilled, which, ultimately is something that's a deep wish for all of us. And the challenge for the type 7, when I get disconnected from my essential being, it starts to feel like that happiness is outside of me, that it comes through acquiring uh, experiences, material objects, something in a sense to pull into myself to fill up the emptiness I feel. So, in the hands of the personality, that drive or that deeper wish of heart and soul to be happy, free, and satisfied gets subverted into using what I have at my disposal, which is to move fast, move quick, have experiences, rely on my humor, uh, and when I'm healthy, I'm joyously humorous in a way that really allows everyone's heart to open. But when I start to get caught up in anxiety and fear, I develop a kind of hyperkinetic joy that and humor that I use to deflect any of my deeper emotional connections with my heart. So, inner critic message certainly is I must be happy and okay. It's just the rules. Sadness is not all right. I've got to be enthusiastic, filled with life, a kind of ever ready battery that inspires everyone, positive, spontaneous, outgoing, and free spirited. When I'm healthy, I'm in contact with all of those things. And I do it in a very conscientious, clear, and joyful way. But when the personality structure, forms and really blocks my access to my innate joy, then these become, in a sense, things that my inner critic beats me up with and starts demanding, saying, you got to be happy. You shouldn't be unhappy. You're supposed to be the one who brings the light of joy to everyone. So, what can I not allow myself? Negativity, darkness, sadness, anything that doesn't look like I'm happy, joyous, and free. I begin, in a sense, as all the types do, to develop a kind of mask that I identify with that protects me from my suffering. You know, so when I'm healthy, we've got the first three levels: the ecstatic appreciator, and the sevens I've been around who have been in these more free states, that ecstatic appreciator is just really the sense of awe at the magnificence of life and its potentiality, and just as sensing the beauty and the diversity of human beings, and just a grateful and gracious heart that really wants to contribute to the freedom of others to experience these deeper states of joy. So naturally enthusiastic, uh, say yes to life. It's like if I get lemonade, if I get lemons, I make lemonade, and I have this capacity to turn difficult things into moments that contain joy also. So spontaneous, we say the seven when they're healthy and they've got this three centers online, has a intuitive spontaneity around, uh, for sevens, it's like at any moment, I might sense that there's seven or eight things I could engage in that would really be wonderful. But when I have a deeper sense of presence, I'm able to sort out those particular activities, endeavors that really touch that part of my heart that wishes for fulfillment. So my spontaneity is a wise spontaneity. And at the same time, we say level three, productive and engaged, simply means that for a healthy seven, I can take my visionary, uh, uh, excitements and actually put them into practical delivery. I can create with them. I can land them in a grounded way and really produce from them. And I think of certainly one of really potent type seven, as Steven Spielberg, who, just been able to have such an amazing career, producing so many different varieties of movie with from humor to really deep studies of human beings to the crazy Jurassic Park dinosaurs, Raiders of the Lost Ark, etc. But just again, sort of capturing the widespread imaginative capacities of the seven, and for adventure and for joy and for something that kind of blows your mind. So when I'm healthy, I'm grounded in the midst of and in the container of this enthusiasm that I'm born with. There's a way that I'm not scattered all over the place. But as I start to lose contact with presence and lose contact with this joyful heart, this generous heart, and really start to experience emotional suffering, what tends to happen is that my inner critic gets loud and clear and says, "You are lovable if you're happy and get what you want. And you better go get it because no one's going to do it for you." So I start developing this sense of anticipating, where's the next port for joy and fun, and I start to get more paranoid about getting stuck anywhere, about slowing down, and start to develop a kind of hyper activity, impulsive uh, tendency to start jumping from thing to thing and not landing long enough to savor the moment. So, and that's driven by fear and anxiety. Whatever it is that's starting to encroach on my heart and my sense of well-being. And so, level four, we say a nice day without presence. But level five is when I start to really um, get more despairing, more afraid, more fearful of that sense that I'm going to get stuck in suffering. And so I get more hyperactive, self distracting. I'm looking at too many things at once, in a sense, looking for the doorway to the most pleasure in the moment. And all of this, is results from the result of my own, heart closing down, head center closing down, a sense of contracting and fear. At level six, it becomes more intense. And, with more intensity, the fear that I'm going to not be happy or joyful um, is magnified. And so I get excessive. And, you know, the opposite of how I am at the higher levels, which is I'm generous with my joyful experiences or whatever it is that's bringing me fulfillment. I want others to come along. I want to inspire them. But at level six, I start to really become hyper focused on my pleasure of the moment. And that's only really reflective of the fact that, I've lost contact with a sense of my own loving heart, my own joyful heart. And so we can call the essence wound really is joylessness and emptiness. I lose contact with that heart that has such abundant, loving joy. And what starts to show up is the hungry heart. So at level seven, I'm desperate, become escapist, insatiable. Nothing lands long enough. I feel like, as 1/7 says, I'm like a baby in the crib who hasn't been fed for 3 days. There's this sense of this deep hole that I'm struggling with. As I get more desperate, I take on more desperate measures to fulfill myself, to feel something because I'm going so fast. I can remember telling the story of one of the men I worked with in recovery who, when he was down the levels and was in this desperate place and moving so fast that nothing could touch him or fill him, his strategy was to become, he had this brilliant thought. He said, well, the one thing I haven't done is I've never been a bank robber. And so here in Portland, Maine, he got on a little mask, a little plastic gun, and started robbing Apple stores as a way of getting that excitement, that intensity back. And of course, after 5 or 6 robberies, he ended up in jail, and he said it saved his life because he had to face his addiction. So level 9, I burn myself out. I collapse, and if there's any type that's able to resurrect from collapsing with success, it's often the type 7 who can come back. So inner critic demands of me, what's the voice in my head, as Eckhart Tolle would say, is you need to stay happy, which means you got to keep moving. If you start to feel any kind of ill feeling, sadness, boredom, discomfort, move, baby. Get moving. Avoid that suffering at all costs. need to get more experiences, more of whatever it is. If you get more of it, you're not going to feel that emptiness. You're not going to feel that sadness. You'll get more things, relationships, you name it, to be happy. So, here I am just trying to fill my reservoir of experiences, my cup as fast as I can. But and the problem is there's a hole in it because nothing sticks or stays because I'm moving too fast. So inner critic says, stay up and keep moving. You know, you can't hit a moving target. Uh, as Satchel Paige said, keep moving, don't look back because something could be trailing you. And that's what starts happening for the seven is I just really start to get into a flight of movement. So along with it, what we call the condition sevens say they experience is FOMO, fear of missing out. Happiness is over there. It's always around the next corner. What I'm doing right now is only half satisfying because I'm not present. And so I've got my eye looking on the horizon for that one great experience that will just allow me to ride into the sunset on the wings of happiness. So you have to go after what you want. You learned some way or another as a little boy or little girl that you are the one who's responsible for getting your happiness. So go and get it. So as I get more caught up in fear and a sense of my own lovelessness, I become more self-centered, grabbing for the next thing that can make me feel good. So the core belief, that my inner critic whispers to me is you will miss out on something if you're not up and moving. Stay mobile. Happiness comes from what you do or the experiences that you have. It doesn't come from your internal emotional psychological state. And then it scares me with this idea you'll never be happy. You need more. That isn't enough. You're going to run out. You're missing out. Keep moving. So, again, type 7s will say, yeah, when I'm caught up in, and when I'm stressed and tense or really feeling disconnected from my own heart, this kind of inner critic attack uh, can get worse and stronger. And again, just has me, like a Irish setter, just looking for the next bone to chew on because, nothing is touching me or filling me. So, what do I do under the demands of my inner critic? Well, obviously, I become restless and impatient. I'm a cat on a hot tin roof, can't sit still. The passion we call gluttony. And gluttony basically is just a reflection of the fact that whatever experiences I have, because I'm moving so quickly, they don't rest in me, they don't land in me, and they can't fill me. So I'm just constantly hungry and needing more and more. And this has been called the starved heart. It's like I'm the baby in the crib who hasn't been fed for a week, and uh, there's not enough food or whatever it is I'm looking for that can fill this gap in my soul until I start to develop presence and until I begin to digest the suffering of my heart that has driven me down the levels. Then I actually become available for things to touch me, to for love to enter my life, for feeling a sense of my own presence and starting to really experience that innate joyful heart that sort of lies underneath all the tumult and encrusted personality patterns that are blocking it. So, the wake up call is greener pastures. There's something better somewhere else, over there, in another country, at another restaurant, at another store. Uh, that sense of I start to anticipate and think about the next thing that will make me feel better rather than be with what I'm experiencing. So, head center exercise. What inspires joy, gratitude, and awe? Name them. I'm grateful for blank. I experience joy when blank. I revel in awe when blank. Now, do you show up for these experiences conscientiously? Or do you move past them so quickly that you only touch them lightly? So let us stop there.